This is way better than we thought as we finally get some news on Zach Hyman and how far along is he progressing when it comes to his wrist injury there. And the Oilers take on the Vancouver Canucks in the 8th in final preseason game last night. Now the real deal starts here, and we will have that covered for you here on the channel. The Hyman news, the game last night against Vancouver. Make sure you stay tuned here to Oilers Digest, as 70% of you haven't hit that button down below there. Just hit 4,000 subscribers, so the road to 5,000 starts right here. There, and the Oilers regular season will start on Wednesday. But first, the Oilers dropping a 3-2 decision to the Vancouver Canucks last night at Rogers Arena there. I mean, a hypothetical loser point there. I mean, you can take the good with the bad there, but the Oilers dropping that one 3-2. Just taking a look at the scoring summary here, the Oilers and Canucks almost going into the dressing room tied at 0-0 after one, but Jonathan Lekkerimäki had other plans there as he puts that one top corner on Calvin Pickard. Calvin Pickard getting the start last night. It was originally supposed to be Stuart Skinner, but he did not make the trip to Vancouver as he was dealing with an illness. So Pickard got the start, and Matt Tompkins was his backup in the second period. The Oilers taking over with a goal from Kasperi Kapanen there after taking a very stupid penalty in the first period. Makes up for it from David Tomashek there. You know, the European connection there, clicking for that 1-1 goal, and then Evan Bouchard finding Leon Draisaitl on the doorstep there, you know, in Leon Draisaitl's office, making it 2-1 Oilers there. And then Jonathan Lekkerimäki again, almost from his office there on the power play, making it 2-2. And we go into the extra time there when it comes to, you know, the trio of Bouchard, McDavid, and Draisaitl. Normally those three are ripping up in overtime, but they did not get a single chance to touch the puck there. And then Connor Garland slips by all three of them and gets the game winner, and it ends up being 3-2 Canucks. And, you know, from Bob Stauffer, a fairly entertaining game to conclude the preseason for the Oilers. Matt Savoy was the best of the young guys, quick and creative there, you know, just cementing his role further with the Oilers in the regular season. David Tomashek with a heady play on the Kasperi Kapanen goal, and it will be an interesting next few days in Oil Country there. Bob also said the reason why, you know, the event, there's supposed to be an event at Rogers Place on Monday, but there seems to be some sort of rodeo event going on at Rogers Place this weekend there, so the building will be closed as they clean up that mess there. I know everyone is, you know, anticipating, oh, it's going to be, you know, the McDavid contract extension, but it looks to be a whole lot of nothing there. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it doesn't look like it will be anything happening on Monday morning there. But again, will be an interesting next few days as the Oilers try to figure out what exactly they are going to do with this roster ahead of opening night against the Calgary Flames there. And Kris Knoblauch, you know, we'll get to Kris Knoblauch in a second, but, you know, David Tomashek saying it was a long preseason, but I'm happy I got those games. I needed that, and I thought today was another decent performance. I'm trying to get better each game and just trying to improve and get used to everything, but you need games to improve, and I'll just keep on working. I think everyone's excited about Wednesday. I'm just trying to ask what the guys need, work with the coaches, try and be available. I'm happy we were able to score one in the second on a different power play look, a different setup there. So Tomashek, you know, in the first couple of games is trying to get his footing in the NHL, but he looks very, very comfortable out there, and I think he could be an X factor for the Oilers in this upcoming season there. And we'll finally get to Kris Knoblauch here. I think in the first period we were a little sleepy and didn't execute very well. Maybe later in the period I thought we started playing better. Second period I thought it was our best period. In the third period it was back to being sloppy and giving up the puck too much, especially in the offensive zone just inside the blue line there. In the first period there were, you know, a couple turnovers inside the Canucks blue line there, and again, you know, could have gone very wrong for the Oilers. You get away from simplifying things and making the extra pass or the extra move, then you end up turning the puck over and you're in trouble. It's the last exhibition, so fortunately we can get to the regular season and the intensity should ramp up there. So Kris Knoblauch not pulling any punches on how he thought his team played. The newly extended Kris Knoblauch, I should say, you know, not trying to be hard on the team, you know, crack the whip a little bit more. He's just, you know, seeing what they can do differently and how exactly they can fix that going into the regular season there. Just taking a look at the hockey stat chart here, Dave Tomashek, one of the best Oilers all night long last night. I mean, it wasn't, you know, a poor game by the Oilers, you know, by any means, but it was just, you know, most of them, the vets included, you know, McDavid, you know, Leon Draisaitl, Kasperi Kapanen, Nurse, even Ekholm had a bit of a, you know, an out of character game, but it wasn't, you know, a sloppy game by any means. Everyone was just going through the motions there, and you can tell, you know, especially Leon Draisaitl with his body language, you know, he's just trying to get to the regular season there. It is more so just a game for the guys to get back up to speed, like Vasily Podkolzin laying a huge hit there last night A beautiful hit, one could say. Many thought it was, shoulder to the head, but a shoulder to the chest. It was clean as a whistle there. So good for him to get back up to speed there. But it was just, guys like Noah Phillip trying to, again, cement themselves in that fourth line center role there. And Ike Howard trying to, get more up to speed with the NHL game, looking more confident in fluid out there. I don't know if, Kris Knoblauch was trying to preach, the two-way game to Ike Howard there. When he was back with the Michigan State Spartans, that was more so, a downside of his game there where he's more one-dimensional on the offensive side. Not saying that's a bad thing by any mean, but you can see, he's trying to get comfortable to both sides of the puck, especially in the D zone there. But again, it wasn't a sloppy game at all. And then Calvin Pickard, 5-on-5, tremendous. Had a few outstanding stops in the third period there with a 2.32 expected goals against there. So it's pretty much, a wash there. He didn't have any bad goals that he gave up. Sure, the second Jonathan Lakaramaki goal, could have had that one, but that was more so just the Oilers penny kill, running around and not being able to clear the puck out of the zone. Although, could have been a little more of an effort on the overtime goal, but, Calvin Pickard, much like myself, was just trying to get through this one last night with no injuries. I mean, the Oilers still battling with a bunch of illnesses there. I even saw Connor McDavid wear one of them breathe right strips on his nose there, so that whole room battling something. But again, like I said in the last video, it's nice for them to get this out of their system, no pun intended, right now, rather than try to deal with something later on in the season there. Especially, it's always around, that December, January mark where we'll always see tweets saying, the Oilers battling an illness in the room there. So to get that out of the system, by all means, be sick right now, boys, but don't be sick later on in the season there. But the overtime period, again, wasn't really a whole much. The Oilers didn't touch the puck at all. And, Draisaitl letting the Garden Gnome, Connor Garland, slip right by him there. But, give him the benefit of the doubt. We're trying to get to the real hockey now here, fellas, and we will get to the real hockey on October 8th. Still a few more sleeps away. The Battle of Alberta happening at Rogers Place. They're 8 o'clock Mountain there, so, 2 straight 8 o'clock Mountain starts to open up the regular season Wednesday, October 8th against the Flames, and then the following Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks there, and then the Eastern road trip. But we will, get that bridge down the road here, folks. We are still waiting for the first game against the Calgary Flames, and not only that, folks, but an update on Zach Hyman coming here from Jason Gregor. Hyman was on the ice yesterday after the main practice in full gear and doing lots of stick handling as well as shooting drills on both forehand and his backhand. His wrist looks to be progressing well. Originally, he wasn't supposed to be in the Oilers lineup until November, but who knows with the way that, Zach Hyman's work ethic is or has been throughout his career, his willingness to get back out onto the ice. I'm not saying rush Zach Hyman, but the sooner he is back, the better there, as it will lead, the Oilers to be much more complete there. And that leads me to my next point here, Zach Hyman, LTIR. And there's 2 points to this from Puckpedia. They're reporting that the NHL recently provided teams with a clarification on the new no paper loans rule that require players sent down to play one AHL game before being recalled there. The Oilers would do that time and time again there, where they would, send somebody down when they wouldn't actually have to go to Bakersfield. They'd still be in Edmonton to, create room cap-wise and still, be able to call them up, the next day or the day right after that. But with this new rule, they cannot do that anymore until after October 10th or so. After October 10th, if you send someone down to your minors, then they would have to play one AHL game before being brought back up there. It's an advantage for, teams like Calgary. The Winnipeg Jets have the Manitoba Moose right in their very building. It's an advantage for, most of the Canadian NHL franchises, or 6, I should say. I mean, most of them do have their AHL team within the same city or province, but the Oilers still the only Canadian NHL team with an American AHL team with the Bakersfield Condors there. So a bit of a disadvantage there that I've seen time and time again. A lot of people, clamor for them to bring their AHL team, to places like Red Deer or even Saskatoon. I've seen a Saskatoon proposal there, but for the Oilers, they will have to get very, very creative there. And with that, I mean, they're full team without Zach Hyman. Sure, it could be a whole lot better there, but this is as close as it will get for the opening night matchup there. They'll have to do a lot of cap gymnastics to sort of get this into fruition there. And of course, the paper loans could impact a team like the Oilers. And if they're worried about losing players on waivers, because they still have to make 3 cuts before the start of the season, they could do something like this. They could send the waiver exempt players down, like David Tomashik, Ike Howard and Matt Savoy, and then submit an opening roster Monday that's under the cap, place Hyman on LTR, and then use the new space to immediately call the players up while not exceeding the 23 active player limit. The only downside is when Zach Hyman is healthy and they take him on off of LTIR, they have to somehow get that space right back. But I mean, the Oilers, they employ, capologists, and every other team has, so they will, absolutely make the money work no matter how they do that. I mean, they pay money, they pay people to do that, so I'm not going to do the math for them right now. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game, and scale of 1 to 10, how excited for you for this upcoming Oilers season. Right now, the McDavid extension still looming in the back of my mind, but I'm still, a very, very solid 9. If he was signed, I'd be a 10, but right now, 9 out of 10 on the excitement for the upcoming season. But folks, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Still lots of time to wait until the Oilers season, unfortunately, but 8 preseason games up, 8 preseason games down, and we'll have everything covered for you here on the channel. Take care. I'm Matt.